refrigeration for this.
Not in my
But you're just drinking cold water.
cold water. Yeah, ice from this morning because I actually put this in this morning before my run. Actually, be able to get out of my garage.
Okay.
Thank you, you big muscly man, for helping me on
It's,
that.
it's just the height advantage.
Yeah. So yeah, ice water. It works.
Nice water. Living the dream. So
Well, how was Europe? I know you want to ask me some questions.
yeah, Europe was good. Only had an attempted mugging twice, so that's good. So
Attempted being the operative word.
right, yeah, they didn't get anything. But you just wear zippered shorts and pants when you're over there and you're on the metro. But no, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was very expensive. Do it when the euro is in your favor.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because it was not. Or actually, the
financial
British
advice.
the British
from
pound,
Jim.
was not. In our
Oh, that's
favor.
right. Brexit.
Yeah. So two different things, but
Yeah.
no, it was good.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, while I was away though, you had big news.
I did have big news. I did have
which I
big
think you
news.
should share. Which you sort of set up in the last podcast.
Yeah, I did. As a cliffhanger, we didn't have. I need to work on my music integration skills on this, because it would have been good to have a dun dun dun.
Yeah.
So it is big news. The only news that's slightly bigger is I think this is the closest our knees have ever been.
No, remember Halloween costumes?
It's true. No. Yeah, it's true. And I think some of our audience might remember some Halloween costumes. So I'm employed. So I am employed gainfully, or is it gainfully employed? Gainfully employed. I am not gainfully employed. I am gainfully
We can
employed.
start that too.
Yeah, that'd be a nice rumor. So happy to be working for James at Runabout, which is a local store here in the Blacksburg, Christiansburg area. And it's been good. It's been exciting. It's been fun, but like with any other big kind of change, because this is a huge change for me.
Well, and that's what we want to talk about today.
Okay.
Right? So that's kind of what my questions are around. Because my jump to a new job was a big change.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Yeah. I was on the creative side and I went full bore onto the marketing side. I was peering on marketing beforehand and doing some of that, but it was a big shift, right? I went from running a creative team and doing branding and doing some product stuff, but not a ton, and then into on consumer product to software and running a marketing team on the software side. So complete change. You very much, I would say your change is bigger, right? In the sense of, both of them have tie-ins. I think we both had tie-ins. It's not like we've completely I didn't go from creative to designing code for something weird.
Like if I was working for a boxing gym,
right?
It would be
So I think there's always tie-in, but it's still a big shift.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the so I got a couple questions, and the first one is around the fear of making the change, right? You've been doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are not that young anymore. We're both in our 40s.
Which has been pointed out to me. And
yes.
I'll explain that.
In your new job, but we're in our 40s, and to do that level of a job shift in your 40s, I think for anybody, especially if you've been continuously doing the same thing throughout your career, right? Like I started doing graphic design in high school. It was something I always thought I was going to do. I never thought I'd walk away. And one of the big fears for me in doing this is, one, I felt like, am I sell out? Because I'm not on the design side anymore. And I've trained my entire career for it. And so those were things in the back of my head. But then there was this also fear of just failure. What if I get in and I can't do this and I just suck and I get fired because I'm a hack? So my question for you, is around that, what were your biggest fears in making this shift? And I think, and I'll put a caveat. I think when you're unemployed, it's easier to make shifts like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think I would have done it, and I don't know if you would have done it if we were currently employed.
No. Yeah, I don't think I could have at all. That was a good point. It's really interesting to think about because there's a friend of mine. A really good friend of mine who's mentioned multiple times to me that this, you got to look at it like this is just a storm that's clearing the path for you, which I thought was pretty good.
read that shit out of a book somewhere. I think.
Well, I liked it. I liked it.
You like that fluffy stuff.
Yeah, I like that fluffy.
So
yeah, if Hallmark was hiring, if you're hiring writers, Hallmark. No, it's a great. Yes, I was definitely afraid, and I think it comes down to a couple of different things. One is it's just so different going from a day to day, weekly behind a desk, even though I wasn't really behind a desk job, salary, to a retail environment, which has its own different sets of challenges. And can I take what I've learned in the corporate world and apply it positively in a retail environment with a staff? That's the thing that's made it easy. Was luckily the staff and the former manager were really good, and they work really well together, and they know, like, the team part of it is pretty easy to walk into because they're just really awesome and they know their job. So I, my fear was, okay, can I learn how to, this isn't like for some of our older audience, this isn't like Married with Children. Like, I'm not Al Bundy. Like, I'm not, like, when I'm selling shoes, we're not just like, it's not that type of selling shoes,
so
like
not wearing short sleeve button downs.
Right. I might be bald and and might have a lot of his tendencies, but I'm not doing that type of shoe sales, So it's an intricate process. It's really cool, but you have to learn that, right?
But it's more than just a store.
It's more than just a store, yeah, because we do events, and it's a community center. James DeMarco, who owns it, he's done an amazing job. He coached at Blacksburg for forever. Everybody knows him, and there's a reason. It's because he's had a very positive impact on the community. And when you're driving around Blacksburg, it could be rainy. It could be 100 degrees outside with 100% humidity. It could be snowing. There's people running. It's like
they're mentally ill.
Well, I don't think so. You're entitled to your opinion,
Jim. Yeah. I don't understand. I don't run for fun. I don't understand it. More power to you. I wish I could. Right. Much like I wish I could be a morning person. I wish I could run. Neither of them are ever going to happen for me. So,
and sometimes they go together, morning people and runners. But I think the fear was like, we dance around it. We call it a lot of different names. We talked about that in an earlier podcast, but I got fired.
Yeah. Well, we both did.
Yeah, we got fired. Yeah. And along with that comes a lot of, I'm already a self-doubter. Like, I already kind of doubt my abilities and things. So it's like, okay, well, I hope, and I told James that when the opportunity came up and we were talking about it, I said, the community, the running community, that store means so much to me that I'm not going to take this job if I didn't think I could bring value or make it, keep it going well, and hopefully improve it a little bit. So that was a lot of the fear. And then I think, if just between you and me, I'm kidding. It is different. It's a different. People look at me different.
Yes.
And people treat me different. They did when I got fired, and now, not the people I love, the people that are close to me, like you, and I've got other, you're absolutely one of my best friends, and you've been great, and my other really close friends are really great about it. But then there are people, I can see it. They're and I've had people say to me literally, how'd you end up there?
Yeah.
With that kind of connotation.
I think this goes into, we saw it a lot in the corporate world where job titles meant everything.
Yeah.
And people were so fearful of moving to another job, but their job title looking like it stepped them down.
Yeah.
And working with a lot of people in Europe, the job title thing over there is nowhere close to like being so entrenched and backwards as it is here, right? It's like, well, I'm a VP. You're a VP and you have no reports and it's a company of 5. You're not a VP, right? Like, and then it's like, well, I'm not going to be a director in my next job. And it's like, you went from a $2 million company to a $200 million company, and now you've got a team of 6, and like, why are you hung up on it? But it's just the stigma, and I think we all do it in some way, shape, or form. And I think I think that's part of it too, right? Is like you want to see this very linear progression in your career. And sometimes progression's not linear. Right. And I think that's what
it's like a stock portfolio.
Right.
You're just it might go down a little bit. It might go, but
is it really going down?
But it needs to trend. It's the trend, and I feel like I do feel like I'm trending up.
Right, and I think for me, and it's probably for you as well, it was the way I rectified it in my head was, the fear of failing. Right, is like even if I get fired in a year or two, right, and because I have a brand new set of skills that I didn't have before. Even a year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever it is, the amount of time that I'm spending in this new role is growth for me, regardless of pay, regardless of title, regardless of job program, whatever it is new skills. And to be in my mid 40s and learn new skills is a great place to be when you wipe all of it away. So like it's getting your ego out of it and ignoring the comments, I think is hard. Well, and I think it keeps us from doing things, especially when we're already employed. Right? Yeah. Because like I said, like I don't think either of us would have made that level of shift.
Well, I mean, I fantasized about it because I didn't know what I know now.
But you wouldn't have done it voluntarily.
No.
Not in the beginning. There's too much fear.
And also had an idea what the job was going to be like that. A lot of the positives I was right about.
Right.
And not that there's negatives, but I mean, it's a job.
Every job has negatives.
And it's a lot of hours. I mean, I don't know. I worked a lot this week. I mean, a whole bunch. I had fun for the majority of it, but it was tough. So real quick on that back, the thing that bothered me the most is I kind of, my self-esteem might take a blow, but I also, I think you've seen me I will take up for myself. And what bothered me the most about that was it was said in front of some of my staff.
Yeah.
And it bothered me because it's okay if you want to take a dig at me. I think you just don't know me and you don't know my situation and I can handle it. I'm 45 years old, I can handle that. But they diminish somebody who's working through college or somebody who this is a good, and it should be, it's a good job for them. It's a stable job. And then when you have to be good at it. And so in front of my staff who I've already grown really fond of, they kind of diminish this idea that working in a running store is somehow like a punishment or something. Like it was, I don't know. It was weird because I didn't know these people at all.
Yeah.
And the other thing that keeps happening is everybody keeps asking if I'm the owner, which is really
well. That's because you're old and you've got a lot of gray. I think you need to start just fermenting that shit.
Oh, I know. I don't know if I want to do that though, because it's
so obvious. Any guy we know our age should just ferment.
Yeah, I've never seen.
Instantaneously they do it. It's like your hair wasn't that dark and lustrous, or whatever the word is. Even when you're 20s,
it'd be like me showing up with a wig all of a sudden.
It's a good thing they don't have just ferment for gingers because it'll keep me from doing it and making that decision.
Well, they do.
No, they don't. I've looked into it.
Just for men.
Yeah,
but they have dye. Like you could.
They have dye, but everybody that dyes their hair.
But you have a great head of hair, man.
Yeah, it was more for like if I ever get to a point where I grow a beard and I don't have the facial hair of a 13-year-old boy, like it'll be white now probably.
That's kind of in though.
The white beard or the 13-year-old boy?
The 13-year-old boy beard. I seriously, I'm shocked. I see, I do know a thing or two about beards, and I see some of these folks trying to grow beards, and I'm just like, but it's working for them. So
no, it's not.
Well, they think it is.
Well, our own opinion of ourselves. It's terrible. That's why the hardest thing to draw is a self-portrait of yourself.
Yeah.
When you're in art school, that's what the hardest thing. Yeah, because you have a visual perception in your head of what you look like, and you draw that. You don't draw what you see.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna get real kind of meta here.
Yeah.
So that I think was why I was so scared because you do have a vision of yourself physically.
Yes,
but you also have this idea of this entity that you are and what you do and how you provide value to the earth. And I think I was the most afraid. Like despite the fact that I got fired and they didn't value me.
Right.
I valued what I did. And I think there were people still there that valued what I did. I hope. And I felt valuable until yes and no. I would say I felt less valuable over the years. Like it was diminishing pretty rapidly.
Well, the corporation was very good at diminishing value.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was, and I think there's a lot of big companies that do that, whether it's intentional or not. But I think that happens a lot. I think the other thing for us is, I don't know what goals you had for yourself when you were like in college, right? When you're thinking about it, right? Like, and that's
the truth.
So my wife asked me, she's like, what was, like, when I'm going through, like, what was your goal? Where did you, I was like, well, I technically wanted to be a creative director for a large agency or a large consumer product company. And I did that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hit that. So what's, and that was, to me, I was like, shit, I don't know what's next. Like, I don't know what my next goal is. I didn't realize the fact that I hit it. And like, it didn't click that way.
Yeah.
So I think that was the hard part, was determining what's next. What's my next goal?
Yeah.
And trying to figure out that goal in the moment. I think the better thing to have done, if I was more proactive, would have been identifying the fact that I hit the goal early and said, what's next?
Yeah.
And instead of just coasting in the same job for 17 years.
Yeah.
If that job was getting me to the what's next, then great. But if it wasn't, I should have been out looking for it, and I wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, during the event, after the event?
Well, before. Like, if I would have realized in my late 20s that I hit my goal.
Yeah.
And I would have said, what's next? And I had a couple what next that happened. But then I feel like I hit a spot where I plateaued. And I wasn't thinking about what's next. I was just riding that plateau. And I think if I would have figured out what's next, I either would have tried doing that within the organization.
Right.
Or if that wasn't feasible, I would have been looking elsewhere on how to get there. And I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Because I don't think I know I wasn't doing that either. I was just kind of like, I guess I was coasting. I mean, it didn't feel like coasting because it was a lot of work, but you're right. I mean, well, okay, I'll put it to you this way. What was coasting was
your own growth.
Right. Being intentional about that growth. Like I was burnt out.
Yes.
I was completely burnt out. And so I wasn't, I was like, hey, it's a paycheck. Because like my goal coming out of college was don't be poor.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a really crappy goal. I mean, it should be, and I don't think I ever took the time. I'm working on it now. In my 40s, it's been a midlife crisis stuff. But, like, who am I and what do I really want and stuff? And I have to say, I think this store matches up with kind of who I want to be going forward. And so I am really proud of the fact that I took the job, and I'm proud of the job, and I'm glad to have it. I'm very happy to have it. And it is, I am learning a lot, and I'm doing things I would have never done. And I'm learning a lot about what it takes to run a retail store.
Well, you've always been on the opposite side, right? Like we've been on the product side, and you spent early in your career dealing with independent retailers, right, and selling to independent retailers. So you've got that vision, but you haven't lived their ups and downs.
No,
and then I think it's harder now to be in retail than it was when you were selling retail, right? For a small independent store. Yeah. But so next question,
sure.
Now that you're in it, right? You've been in it like a hot week, right? So this might
it's been a good week.
Yeah, it's been
a big week.
But it might be premature to ask this question. And if I ask you the same question a month from now, you might have a different answer.
That'd be a good
What's your fear now that you're in it?
Oh man, so I mean, you know me really well. So like, and I hope this doesn't. Because I think there's a few people at work that are maybe a little concerned right now about me burning myself out. So like I came home Friday night and I was almost doubled over crying because everything kind of fell in on me. But one of the things that fell in on me was this fear that you're talking about. And it's about two things. One is, am I going to staff the store correctly? Because it's we're in a college town. This job typically caters to younger people starting out in their career or getting ready to start in their career. Most of them are not going to continue on to running stores. but they have a general interest in running and really smart. A lot of the staff like really smart, like medical field and stuff, because there's a lot of biomechanics that go into it. So it draws that type of mentality, which is awesome. But so can I continue to staff the store appropriately so that the community is served the way James wants it to be served? So that's a big fear for me. And, will I schedule appropriately and things like that? I'm a people pleaser, so I want people to be happy. And, what's that mean? And am I going to work myself to death? Because that's what I was doing last week.
Right.
I was working myself in the ground. The second thing is inventory, like buying inventory. So not only am I a general manager, I'm a buyer.
Yeah, if only you knew somebody.
Like, if there was somebody in my life that manages
that could give you some insight.
Yeah. She's offered to help. Yeah. So which is good. So, but those are the two things I think I'm the most afraid of. I can talk to anybody. I do know that about myself. Yeah. And I like talking to people, and I genuinely like people. I mean, even people I probably shouldn't like, I like. So that part, and working with, like families have come in, it's been really heartwarming. There's been a lot of heartwarming moments, where you're helping somebody. I mean, seriously, that's why the Al Bundy thing is like, I almost said some other name that ends with Bundy, but would not have been a good analogy. But like the Al Bundy, the Al Bundy analogy is important to me, because that's not what I'm doing. But so I think that's probably my biggest fear and it comes from the fact that I got fired, and that's another reason I was doubled over crying. Was I suppressed a lot. I've been suppressing a lot of that, and it's just been kind of dredging up as I'm going through all of this, because it's like the "am I good enough" question.
Yeah. Well, I think there's this constant PTSD type I think everything is PTSD now. I feel like it's an overused term.
Yeah.
So I kick myself for using it. But there's this constant trigger in the back of your head that you're going to get fired again, that you're not going to be good enough, and you're going to get fired again. And it goes in waves. It's like it diminishes after a while, but then it goes in waves. But I think the other thing is that it's made me a little needy for feedback, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
because I'm looking for like this constant reinforcement that I'm doing a good job and I'm hitting and doing what I need to be doing. Yeah. And I've had to like try to tone that back, because I don't want that neediness making me seem incompetent or insecure, right? Because that's the flip side of it. Is it's just like well, this guy he needs to like just settle down, right? Yeah. So I want to avoid that as well, but it's one of those things that I'm always thinking about it. Always. Whenever there's change, that's what I'm thinking about. Whenever I'm looking at opportunities, not only am I looking at opportunities from the direction of what's going to allow me to learn, but it's also looking at the opportunities that give me, put me in a light that make me more valuable, so that I'm not on that cut list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is a tough place to
be. And I think that in a way I have the security of it's small enough company, and I think it would be pretty egregious, and it would almost have to be, I know it would have to be on purpose.
Yeah.
For James to be like, I don't think this is working. And so I actually have a little more in a way.
But I think the other side, though, that you're probably not thinking of is you don't do enough business to keep the story.
No, I am thinking that. So it's James's business.
Yeah.
And like everything I do now is, and it isn't that he's asking this of me. I think part of it is maybe why I got, they thought about me, was I take that serious.
Right.
Like, I'm his avatar. Well, because he doesn't live here anymore. He's up in Northern Virginia area. So like I'm one of the faces of Runabout for him. And and like if I don't staff it correctly, are we going to have people unhappy and they leave and they go elsewhere, or the runabout start to look bad because of decisions I'm making or things that I'm doing or the way I'm saying things? So that pressure is probably more. I feel more of that than you may feel with your company, but I do have that security. I think it's kind of funny. It's like that's the job I needed. Yeah. It's like when I got a new boss one time during one of our transitions early on, and I would say she was what I needed at the time, because I was coming from a situation that wasn't that great within the company. Obviously, I'm not naming any names, but I thought, was she? She was she was exactly what I needed at the time.
Yeah,
and I think that's what this is. This is what I need right now.
Yeah,
and but yeah, that now that I'm in it, I think those are my biggest fears. Is like, and then I think the third fear is, can I keep it up? Can I keep up with this? I mean, this is definitely a young man or a young person's game. Well, retail is like, it's a whole other thing.
I think like any job though, you'll hit a groove, right? At a certain point, like you hit a groove. I think when you go into something you don't know, it's harder to hit that groove.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I went into another creative job, I know what to do right off the bat, know how to staff, I know what to do. I could be at 100% in a matter of weeks,
right?
Potentially, right? When you make a shift and you're doing something different, there's so much more to learn that you sort of have to set the expectation that the first 6 months are probably going to suck.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're just going to be really freaking hard.
Yeah.
And they're going to suck. And putting that in your head, but knowing that if you see progression, things are getting better. You're feeling better about certain aspects. And then, but giving yourself that leeway, I think is super crucial.
No, I think that's important. I hope that's what, if the folks that are watching this or listening to this, they get that too, because I think it also applies to people that are out of work.
Yes.
Just sometimes just submitting your resume is progress. Not only getting the feedback, not only getting an interview, but just that is progress. And then I hope there are people listening that are in the middle of transitions right now, and I hope they understand that it's also important to give yourself that grace. That grace that like it's gonna be tough.
Well, I think when we were in our 20s and we're coming fresh out of school, well, now I've hired people in their 20s that this does not apply to, that think they know it all and are just going to hit it right off. Like, we knew we were going to screw up, and it didn't bother us.
Yeah.
Right? Like when we were in our 20s, it was like, I'm going to screw some things up.
That's true. Yeah. Right? I was definitely like that.
And it's just like, you know what? I'll bounce back. It'll be fine. I think now, like with the age, it's like the same with like falling. Like when we were biking when we were younger, like, oh, we'll fall, we'll bounce, we'll be fine.
You just had to mention wrecking a mountain bike, didn't you?
And I'll break my collarbone, right? Like in like 3 places. Like it's just like things are different, and I think it's just you're more worried about those mistakes because you're just like, at this age, people expect me to have my shit together and to know what I'm doing with everything. And especially probably with you working with a much younger crowd, like they're expecting you to have all the answers, right? And to figure to like, you're just this messiah that's come in that, has all this marketing experience that's going to come in and it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a ton of pressure.
They've actually been, I got to say that they've been really sweet, but I think they do. I mean, I'm running the show. I'm literally running the show now. Luckily, I have some folks in town that also are like behind the scenes. Teresa's one of them. She's been great, and that's been very helpful. And then my assistant manager, Sirach, he's been great. But I think the staff, they definitely, they ask questions. They have a lot of questions. They have a lot of ideas, which are really cool. But they've been like really. I'm lucky. They've been, I guess, the best word is nurturing. Like, I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think, and I'll tell them I'm stressed out. I I know there's like schools of thought when it comes to leadership and management. Like you're not supposed to show any cracks. You're supposed to show confidence. But like I think it's more important.
Do your way.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it my way. Absolutely. Well, and I also think my authentic self is like I am stressed, and I need you to know I'm stressed because I'm gonna probably need your help. And I think that empowers them to know that they are providing value to me as much as I'm possibly hoping I'm providing value to them. And I think that's important. But I also think it's like people can tell when you're stressed out. And if you're trying not to be stressed out in front of them, bad things can happen. That's where like anger and stuff comes from.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that neither of us, I think, could say that we've ever witnessed or had the perfect manager that was just like spectacular in every way, shape, or form. Doesn't exist, right? So
I've had some good ones, but
had some good ones, but even the good ones have flaws that drive you bananas, right? Like, so I think that's normal, and we've managed people for a number of years, and it'd be funny to actually bring them back and have them. Just
we've got to have your team, your old team on, and if my team from the my corporate gig would want to come on, I would love to have them on.
But I mean, Dave just, it would be funny. But I think it's...
Do you think they'd be honest with you about... Because I don't know...
No one's going to be 100% honest. With me sitting in the room? No. And knowing this recorded on a webinar? No. No one's 100% honest. The only people that are honest are like children under the age of 10. Like, that's it. Like, that's it. And like old people that are older than 90 that just don't care anymore, right? Like, that's it. No one else is truly honest.
Yeah.
Unless you're a sociopath. And then... But I think that's just part of it. But
that's the challenge, sociopath challenge.
I was thinking, I thought I had one more question.
Okay. We're at 30 minutes, but I think we're okay. I'm trying to.
So, and then I guess, and you've probably talked about this a little bit already, but once you made the decision, right? Like I'm sure there's a lot of back and forth and things going on in your head. Once you made the decision, what made you the most excited after you made the decision?
Oh, wow. It wasn't, oh, I got a job. Which I kind of thought would be the thing.
Yeah, same.
I thought for sure I'd be like, oh, I got a job. But honestly, wasn't that, I mean, I wanted a job, but I wasn't that, I'm financially, we're in a good position, so I didn't have to worry too much. So I think what got me the most excited, and it wasn't that it was a running store. I love running, but it wasn't that it was a running store. It wasn't that it was Runabout. Wasn't the title. I think it was more because before I accepted the job, I was able to go and kind of shadow a little bit the previous manager, Zach. And I got to know the staff, and I knew some of them anyway because I bought things from them. But I think it was the thing I missed the most was the coaching aspect of my old role, the guidance and the learning from my team and my team learning from me, and problem solving as a group, and watching my team. Like I just admire their ability to do their job and how well they do their job. Like they were just an amazing group, and I really missed that because it's inspiring to me.
Right.
And I was excited that I'm going to get to do that, not only with the staff, but I'm going to get to engage with the community in a way where, the questions you ask are like, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? Are you running on the cross country team? Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Congratulations, And so I get to help, and I get helped at the same time by the customers, by the staff, by the owner, all of that was, I think, what excited me the most was getting the ability to do those things again.
Yeah.
And then, the second thing I was most excited about was it is a fair amount of flexibility because of the hours, and we get to still do this because this is
traditional.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's important to you. It's definitely very important to me. This podcast, I want to see it through. I want to see where this can go. So I wanted to have the ability to still do that.
Yeah.
So that flexibility was probably what I think it was coaching. And then now, honestly, the flexibility was nice too.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to have to work on because I'm doing it to myself. But yeah, I'm working more hours. Sorry, James. I'm working more hours than in my corporate gig.
But I think that's normal in the beginning, right? Like, and I think it's 6 months from now, if you're still working crazy hours, then it's sort of a reflection point of what am I doing wrong that I still need 100%, to do this, right? Yeah. Like, and I think you've got to give yourself, because I think part of it just is our own mentality of work ethic, right? Yeah. And like we want to be successful. We want to get to a certain point, and as a result, we will do extra to get there. Mm-hmm. And once we get there, then hopefully we can bring it back and be more normal. But yeah, I think that's just a work ethic.
Yeah.
Call it a flaw, call it a perk. I don't know. Like, I think it all depends.
I don't think it's a flaw. It's like it's like any strength.
Right. But I mean, if you let it get to the point where it's like destroying your personal life, then it becomes a flaw. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Anything overused is not good for you.
Yeah. Because I think for me, it was the same. It wasn't that I got a job, right? Like, because I also had this innate fear in the back of my head that I could be fired in a year and then I got to find a job again, right? Like if I don't pull this off, I'm going to be looking again.
Yeah.
And where I was working was notorious for letting go their marketing team. So they didn't cut, they needed to be successful. It was a small company. The business was super, like they couldn't afford to not have an effective leader in the role. So that was it wasn't excited. I mean, it's like, it's a relief. You got it. But I wouldn't say it's excitement. It was more relief. I think I was more excited that I took it. I'm not a risk taker.
Right.
At all.
Well,
anything.
I've seen you ride a mountain bike downhill.
That's not a risk taker for me, though. Like, that's not
you're good at it.
Like, I've done it my entire life. It took a long time to get to that point. That's not risk for me. Like, risking, like on the biking thing, like, my brother, who's 3 years younger than me, was the first one to jump. Because I wasn't willing to risk it. Yeah. But when I saw him do it, one, I felt shame that my little brother outclassed me. But two, I'm like, well, shit, if he can do it, I can do it. Like, why can't I do it? He's 3 years younger than me. I should have no problem. And our skills are on, But I think for me, it was taking that risk, willing to put myself out there a little bit, like, because that was not my normal. So it was like, a little bit of excitement that I can't believe I did that. That's not me normally. Mm-hmm. Excited that I took the chance.
I was excited for you.
And so I think it'd be interesting. I think everybody probably has a different level of excitement. Sometimes it's the company you're working for. It could be the role. It could be, it could be a myriad of things, but I think it probably varies. But yeah, it's always,
I think it would be interesting to talk to somebody too that has initiated the change.
So that's hopefully our next one.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got somebody lined up. Well, this is a good way to end it.
Yeah, it's
right?
a great way to end it. Yeah.
So
we're already managing the segue.
Yeah. So we need to retalk dates on that, on our person.
Okay.
But this is a person that we worked with 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But his local has had multiple transitions.
Oh, yeah, he's had a very
And somebody that has, wherever he's gone and that I've met people,
he's excelled.
Has excelled and been very respected, right? Super nice guy. And I feel like the vast majority, I think there was a couple that maybe he did, but I feel like the majority, he initiated the change. But he really went from one to another, to another, to another. And it's really quite impressive. So, he's agreed. We just need to nail down a time.
Okay, cool.
Date. But yeah, that should be a good one for the next one. Because I think that's a little bit different in that.
Yeah, and I got to talk to you. I got a guy on LinkedIn reached out to me. I was going to ask you about. It was funny. I was going to ask you about him anyway.
Okay.
And then I hadn't reached out to him, and he reached out to me this morning, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect."
Okay.
But he posted something really interesting. He's recently laid off as well.
Okay.
And he posted some really great advice, but he did it. He's a art director.
Okay.
Former art director. Well, he's a current art director. He's just looking for a new job.
A new art director.
Yeah. So I thought that would be good. But anyway, cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate the questions. Hopefully.
Been fun. Congrats again.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited. And if you live in the Blacksburg, the New River Valley, and you're looking for quality running shoes and advice, please come by Runabout Sports.
You're a whore.
Just want to talk to people. Actually, we've had a lot of business, so it's been busy. It's been nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right, well, let's go.
It's been fun. Yeah. Get some dinner.
All right, brother.
Later.
Later.